Do you know what the meaning of insanity is? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. So a bit like streaming, we're expecting a different ending in the case of Far Cry 6's Season Pass only Vaas Insanity DLC, a new Far Cry villains-focused perspective roguelike, focusing on Far Cry 3's series-defining villain, Vaas Montenegro. Konnichiwa Indigents, Indigent here with a long overdue return to reviewing the content we experience and complete by our live broadcasts here and occasionally over on Twitch for your viewing pleasure in the pursuit of helping you keep your sanity and spending in check during the holidays and throughout. If the review passes the sanity check and you'd like more for your consumption, do leave a like, comment on your thoughts of the DLC, and do all that other good stuff if you haven't already, even if you can't see dislikes anymore anyways. Let's talk about a couple of the things that I like first. It's great having the original face and voice acting talents of Far Cry 3's Michael Mendo. You may know him from things like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and other things. He's delivering some classic and great character lines and performances in this DLC.
Oh yeah, this reminds me of the game. Wait, what's that? The trailer with the hallway?
Layers of fear.
What the fuck ever happened to that?
Oh! Silent Hills. It's also a rare new perspective to play the bad guy and take on the good guy. Well, feels less like a good guy because of the fact that you're the bad guy trying to win. It was nice in a very disturbing kind of way, no spoilers, to get into the psyche and lore of this iconic villain. It scratches that roguelite itch if you're looking for something like that, as this is very much a roguelite, and adds a new twist to Far Cry's DLC offerings of past. Initial exploration and figuring out the systems and gameplay loop is fun, as is the case typically with any roguelike or roguelite game, I suppose. But the initial starting of the journey and trying to figure out the things and finding all the Easter eggs and different things going on is really awesome. And speaking of Easter eggs, there's some cool locations, there's some nice lore, and the aforementioned Easter eggs to be found throughout the island of Vaas, Mindful of a Mind. Say people in this, playing this.
I like this one. This is very nice.
Man, but still needing help. With that, there are a few things I did dislike in this experience. Now you have to do the same thing 5 times over. Just as the tagline of the antagonist, it's a little tedious, it's overly long, especially if you don't nail it on the first tries. But you will be doing the same thing 5 times over if you want that ending. It feels repetitive of the second or third levels. There's very little variety to the action or the flow, and at that point you'll start to feel it, at least I did. The mob spawns feel borderline unfair at times, and the damage to the health that they do at higher levels when trying to just get to the actual quests so that you can move to the next level, it definitely became frustrating for me. The addition of an actual fast travel would have saved a lot of time and tedium when it comes to getting straight back to the areas that are the actual challenge you want to take on so that you can actually progress. The grenade launcher bullets I found as a glitch goes through the floor sometimes, and that can cost you on the higher levels when you're trying to kind of really separate the enemies out, push them out of position, or save yourself from getting basically popped. Having grenade launcher bullets going through the floor, yeah, not fun. I got grenade launcher, which puts him out of the position. See, sometimes it glitches though. That's the only problem with the grenade launcher. Sometimes it goes through the floor. Which is bullshit. And this is probably something that's in Far Cry 6 as well, or Far Cry in general, but the accuracy of grenade throws in this DLC and in Far Cry 6 are ridiculous. They're always accurate and they always land right on top of your head, only to kind of drop half a second afterwards right down to your face. Even the throwing animation, when it fails, it still counts as being thrown. Even when you interrupt occasionally or shoot them before they can throw it, the grenade is still registered as thrown, which basically has you feeling like you're unfairly pushed out of cover. And it's what makes the overall thing harder, really, is the amount of nading that they do and the accuracy. The serious issue is the AI gets ramped up once you have leveled up in mine levels, where they do more damage, they are buffed, and they already have ridiculous accuracy with grenades, and the volume of grenades that they throw at you, it feels a little bit unfair in places. It becomes pretty ridiculous, and it could be borderline what makes or breaks people with this game. So some general thoughts before I close this with a score. You better make sure that you like roguelites and repeating gameplay with better equipment and weapons, but tougher enemies, because that's literally what this is. there really isn't much else once you've explored the entire island and all of the Easter eggs and so forth and the lore. It might be considered tedious if you want to get an actual ending as well, because again, you have to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. And that different outcome doesn't happen until mine level 5. And I think you should really be a fan of the source material, in this case Far Cry 3 and Vaas, to get full value from this. So I'd highly recommend, especially including things like spoilers, highly recommend that you play and complete the story of Far Cry 3 before even starting this up, because straight away it starts with assumptions that you've already experienced Far Cry 3's story. Okay, so for scoring Far Cry 3's DLC, first DLC of the Season Pass, which is Vaas Insanity, I would say it would have been better if it had more variety, a little bit more depth, and a couple of more new elements the deeper you go in. But of course that would contradict the idea of insanity, which is, you know, the fact that you're doing the same thing over and over and expecting something different, and you are getting the same thing until you're not. So I guess it's its strength and its weakness in a weird kind of way. Overall though, it is a fun distraction from Far Cry 6. It's just a little too much of a at first good thing, which might require you to not only be patient, but also a reasonable fan of the mechanics, the character, the lore, and the source material to push through your mental blocks. And so, with a 0 being practically unplayable, a 5 being average, and a 10 being, by Fallen World standards, 11, after 20 hours of play, unlocking away achievements, with a little help from yours and my best friend Google, and 3 official deaths, I give Far Cry 6's Season Pass DLC 1 Vaas Insanity 6.5 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Check out other reviews on the screen, now including a classic re-upload for the Wolfenstein 3D, and sayonara gozaimasu.